Now completing week 3 and entering week 4 of my self-quarantine, self-isolation, sheltering in place. And it's time for the second episode of What is Your COVID-19 Routine? I began this newly isolate lifestyle on March 14th. It is now April 4th. And as of March 27th, the state of Kansas, where I live, is requiring us to shelter in place, except, of course, for essential personnel, and we are still allowed to go out to get food, to get medicine, and exercise, as long as we keep our distance. In the first episode, I spoke of 5 things that I was doing to keep myself going. Exercise, socialize distantly, fun, music, and go outside. Here are 5 more things that I'm doing. Keep a diary. Every day, I write about my day. What I've seen, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. At first, I thought I could treat it as an ordinary diary, writing in it maybe once or twice a week, whenever I found time. I thought daily diarying was optional. It is not optional. As I discovered when, over the course of 3 days, I just jotted a few notes on what I would eventually write in the diary when I got around to it, but did not actually stop and write out those things fully. On the afternoon of the 4th diary-free day, I could feel my mind starting to unravel. You know, I often say that I need to keep my optimism levels at least 51% to function. Well, that afternoon I dropped below 50%. Not good. Realizing my mistake, I started to write. And by the next day, I was able to get myself back up above the 51% level, because optimism is, for me, always an act of will. And I need the diary to process the emotional terrain of this plague year so that I can sustain optimism. Humor is also a part of every day. I loved Robin Bernstein's joking proposal that we no longer refer to work as online, but instead refer to it as pants optional. As she says, before, my university has made all of its courses online. After, my university has made all of its courses pants optional. For the record, I am wearing pants, but I'm not wearing shoes. And here's a joke I heard a few weeks ago. I hear that in Germany, people are panic buying sausages and cheese. It's a worst case scenario. And just the other day, we were out walking through the cemetery, as we do of an evening, since it's close to our house. And I would say, I don't need one of these headstones. Take the money and throw a party. And then Karen said,
don't you want a marker?
And I said, well, do you want one?
Well, probably.
I said, well, if you want one, then absolutely. You can spend the money on a marker, but I insist that we put something funny on it. For example, Philip Nell wishes he were somewhere else. Or, Philip Nell is not here. That's a philosophical one. Or what about Philip Nell is out of the office? Possibly. Philip Nell is not the man he used to be. That could be a winner. Leave your vote in the comments, and other suggestions are, of course, welcome. We'll crowdsource this and get the best possible joke epitaph. Thank you. Redefine what productivity means. It's harder to concentrate on your work in an emergency. So give yourself a break. For example, I usually turn student work back within a week. That is my self-imposed deadline. Turn it around in a week. I'm not doing that now. It's more like 2 weeks. I simply find it harder to focus. And our students are finding it harder to focus too, so give them a break. People are going through a lot, and we have to cut each other some slack. Productivity in a plague year is going to be different, and that's okay. Tenderness. I begin each of my formerly in-person and now online classes with something hopeful or something funny. I Skype my mother more often. One reason I think that I'm finding it harder to maintain my usual rate of productivity is that I am thinking of my friends. I am thinking of those I love. I'm texting. I'm writing emails, setting up Skype coffee breaks. And I'm thinking of all those who I have yet to check in with, wondering how they're doing. In all love is the inevitability of its loss, because we are all mortal. But we don't usually think about the fact that love and loss are always intertwined. However, in a plague year, each interaction is shadowed by the possibility of loss. The shadow has always been there, of course, but we usually don't notice it. Now it's hard to look away. Awareness of this fragility has made me more tender, not just to those I know and love, but to far more people than usual. And no, not everyone. If I'm out in the world and you're not social distancing, I'm more likely to... But when I am out walking and I see strangers who are social distancing, I always say good evening or good afternoon. Sure, we have to keep our distance from each other, but our connections to each other are far more important than ever. Make future plans. Imagine a post-COVID-19 future that we will inhabit. In telling you this, I am following the advice of my friend Nina Christensen and imagining what we'll do when this is all over. Nina and Lisa Paul
Hi.
and I co-edited the second edition of Keywords for Children's Literature, which is due out later this year. In fact, that footage of Nina and Lisa that you have just seen is from a talk on that very book that we did last April in Malmö, Sweden. And Nina has proposed the three of us getting together in person to celebrate when this is all over. And we will. And in the meantime, we will celebrate via a Zoom coffee break next week. It's great advice. We should make future plans, if for no other reason than to just remind ourselves that this too will pass. So, as I asked last time, what's your COVID-19 routine? And what has changed about that routine? What's working for you? What isn't? Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, keep social distancing, stay at home as much as you can, wash those hands, and of course, don't lick any doorknobs that I wouldn't lick. That's always good advice.